It really shocked people that a match went on, despite knowing about the 39 lives lost in the stadium riot. What made it worse was seeing Phil Neal, such a big superstar, come across as so insensitive. It hits harder when you expect so much more from someone like him. In 1985, Phil Neal led Liverpool as captain in the European Cup final against Juventus. Sadly, the match was overshadowed by an unimaginable tragedy: the death of 39 fans during a stadium riot at the Heysel Stadium in Brussels. It was a moment that shook the football world and left a dark cloud hanging over the game. While reports have differed over the years about just how much the players knew at the time, Neal himself has said that the team was aware of the fatalities before the game kicked off. The decision to go ahead with the match, despite such a heartbreaking loss of life, has sparked criticism ever since. Many fans and observers were deeply disappointed, not just by the decision, but by how it seemed to clash with the values they expected from the players involved, especially someone like Phil Neal. Neal wasn't just any player. He was one of the greatest English footballers of all time, a true icon of the game, and someone who carried a lot of responsibility as a leader. To understand why this hit so hard, you need to know just how legendary Neal was in football. During his time with Liverpool, he achieved what most players can only dream of. He won a jaw-dropping 22 major trophies, including 8 First Division titles, 4 League Cups, and 4 European Cups. His name is synonymous with one of the most successful eras in Liverpool's history. Neal was also famous for his incredible reliability. He played an astonishing 365 consecutive league games for Liverpool, a record that still stands today. It wasn't just about talent, it was about showing up every single time, giving everything for the team, and being a player his teammates and fans could always count on. That kind of consistency is rare, and it's one of the many reasons he's so highly regarded. If that's not impressive enough, Neal holds a truly unique place in football history. He's the only player ever to appear in all of Liverpool's first 5 European Cup finals. Think about that for a moment. 5 finals. And he didn't just show up. He made an impact, scoring in 2 of them. That's the stuff of legends. It's hard to imagine anyone ever matching that feat, which makes his achievements even more remarkable. Neal's towering legacy and the respect he earned on the pitch. The events of that night in 1985 felt especially jarring to many. Fans held him to a high standard, not just as a player, but as a leader. The tragedy at Heysel Stadium, in the decision to play the match despite the loss of 39 lives, remains a deeply painful and controversial chapter in football history. If you're wondering why Phil Neal is considered one of the all-time greats in football, his career really does speak for itself. Neal's journey to stardom wasn't one of overnight success, it was built on hard work. It all began at Wellingborough Town, a small club where Neal first showcased his talent and passion for the game. In 1967, he took a step up by joining Northampton Town. Over the next few years, Neal became a key figure at Northampton, making an impressive 187 appearances for the club. His performances didn't go unnoticed, and on October 9, 1974, Liverpool manager Bob Paisley signed him for $66,000. Interestingly, Neal wasn't initially brought in to play in his famous right-back position. Paisley saw him as a potential replacement for the aging Chris Lawler and started him off as a left-back. But it was on the right side of defense with his endless energy and work ethic that Neal truly made his mark. He was the kind of player who gave 110% every time he stepped onto the pitch. Hard-working, reliable, and always ready to deliver when it mattered most. Neal made his Liverpool debut in one of the biggest games in English football, a Merseyside derby against Everton at Goodison Park on November 16, 1974. The game ended in a goalless draw, but for Neal it was the start of something extraordinary. He shared that debut with midfielder Terry McDermott, another Liverpool legend in the making. It didn't take Neal long to start making an impact. Almost exactly a year after his debut, he scored his first goal for Liverpool on November 4, 1975, in a UEFA Cup match against Real Sociedad. Liverpool crushed their opponents 6-0 at Anfield, and Neal's name was on the score sheet, a sign of things to come. One of Neal's most memorable moments came in the 1977 European Cup final in Rome, where Liverpool faced Borussia Mönchengladbach. It was a historic night for the club, as they lifted the European Cup for the very first time with a 3-1 victory. Neal played a crucial role, calmly slotting home a penalty late in the game to seal the win. It was the start of an incredible run for Liverpool in Europe, with Neal playing a starring role in the club's golden era. Over the next few years, Neal continued to shine on the biggest stage. He was part of Liverpool's victorious European Cup campaigns in 1978 and 1981, helping the team defeat Club Brugge and Real Madrid, respectively. And in 1984, he added another unforgettable chapter to his career. In the European Cup final against AS Roma, Neal scored in the first half to put Liverpool ahead. The game ended 1-1 and went to a penalty shootout, where Neal once again showed his nerve, converting Liverpool's first penalty. The team went on to win the shootout and lift the trophy. Incredibly, Neal is the only player in history to appear in all four of Liverpool's European Cup triumphs during the 1970s and 1980s. That's a record that may never be matched, and it's a testament to his consistency and importance to the team. But Neal's success wasn't limited to Europe. He was a dominant force in domestic football too. During his 11 years at Liverpool, he won an astounding 8 First Division titles, 4 League Cups, and countless other trophies. His dedication to the team was unmatched. He was ever present in the starting lineup for years, playing a staggering 366 consecutive league games from December 14th, 1974 to September 24th, 1983. That's a club record and one of the longest streaks in English football history. It speaks volumes about his durability, fitness, and commitment. Neal's incredible career at Liverpool came to an end in 1985 when he joined Bolton Wanderers as a player manager. By then, he had already cemented his place as one of the game's greats. Over the course of his career, Neal made more than 700 league appearances, earned 50 caps for England, and won 22 major trophies. Neal's managerial career might not have reached the same dazzling heights as his playing days, but it was still an impressive chapter in his life. Managing a football team is never easy, but Neal threw himself into the challenge with the same determination and work ethic that defined his playing career. In December 1985, Neal stepped into a new role as player manager of Bolton Wanderers. Taking on the dual responsibility of leading from the sidelines while still playing on the pitch is no small task. Yet Neal embraced it wholeheartedly. For 7 years, he guided the club through some of its most memorable highs and challenging lows. One of his standout achievements came in 1989 when Neal led Bolton to victory in the Football League Trophy. It was a bright moment that gave the fans something to cheer about. However, managing a football club isn't all about celebrations, and Neal had to navigate some tough times as well. Under his leadership, Bolton experienced the heartbreak of relegation to the 4th Division, the lowest tier in English professional football, for the first time in their history. But Neal wasn't one to give up easily. The very next season, he inspired the team to bounce back, securing promotion to the 3rd Division. It was a testament to his ability to rally his players and keep their spirits high, even when the odds were stacked against them. Over the next few years, Bolton came agonizingly close to more success. They reached the 3rd Division playoffs in both 1990 and 1991, but narrowly missed out on promotion each time. In 1991, they lost out on automatic promotion to Grimsby Town by the slimmest of margins, a goal difference, and were later beaten by Tranmere Rovers in the playoff final. By 1992, things had started to unravel, and Bolton finished a disappointing 13th in the 3rd Division. Neal was let go on May 8, 1992, ending his long stint with the club. His successor, Bruce Riot, would eventually lead Bolton to greater success, including promotion to the top flight in 1995. But Neal's time at the club was still remembered fondly by many, as he had laid important groundwork and brought pride to the fans during his tenure. In October 1993, Neal returned to management, this time at Coventry City in the Premier League. It wasn't the easiest of starts. His first game in charge ended in a tough 5-1 loss to QPR. The team was sitting mid-table when he arrived, and the pressure was on to turn things around. Despite the rocky beginning, Neal managed to steady the ship, and by the end of the 1993-94 season, Coventry had climbed to 11th place in the league. It was their best finish in years and included standout moments like a thrilling 4-0 win over Manchester City in February 1994. The following season, however, proved more difficult. Despite the big money signing of striker Dion Dublin from Manchester United, Coventry struggled to find consistency. Neal's time at the club came to an end on February 14, 1995, even after a morale-boosting 2-0 victory over Crystal Palace just days earlier. When Neal left, Coventry were 2 places above the relegation zone, and his replacement, Ron Atkinson, managed to secure the club's Premier League survival. Neal wasn't out of the game for long. In February 1996, he took over as manager of Cardiff City in Division 3. His time at Cardiff was brief, as by October of the same year, he moved to Manchester City to work as assistant manager under Steve Capel. It was another challenging period. City were struggling in Division One after being relegated from the Premier League. When Capel resigned in November 1996, Neal stepped in as caretaker manager until Frank Clark was appointed in late December. The twists and turns of Neal's managerial journey didn't end there. In the 1997-98 season, he joined Peterborough United as assistant manager to the colorful chairman-manager Barry Fry. Unfortunately, his time with Peterborough was cut short in March 1998 when Fry decided to part ways with him. Even after stepping away from high-profile management roles, Neal continued to stay involved in football. He played for and coached Liverpool's Masters team, dominating the Sky Sports Masters Series, a competition that brought together former players to relive the glory days. His career is filled with incredible highs and undeniable success. With 22 major trophies, including 4 European Cups and 8 First Division titles, Neal earned his place among the legends of the game. His consistency, commitment, and leadership made him an icon at Liverpool, where he set records that may never be broken. But his journey wasn't without controversy. The 1985 European Cup final, marked by the tragic death of 39 fans, cast a shadow over his legacy. The decision to play the match, despite the heartbreaking events, drew widespread criticism and disappointment, leaving many questioning how such a revered figure could proceed under such circumstances. Despite the challenges, Neal's impact on football is undeniable. From his humble beginnings to his stellar achievements on the global stage, he inspired generations with his dedication. Thank you for joining us to explore the life of a true football legend. Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories like this.